The air was thick with dread, the kind that settles like damp fog on a spring evening. I stood frozen in my doorway, phone pressed to my ear, the 911 dispatcher's calm voice clashing with the chaos in my chest. "Help's coming, sir. Stay with her." Inside, my mother, Ellen, gasped softly on the couch, her face pale, one hand clutching her chest. I'd moved her there to keep her comfortable, propping pillows and praying the ambulance would hurry. Then I heard its sharp tap of heels, a sound that had haunted my nights for a year. Margaret Hensley, the homeowners association tyrant of Pinewood Grove, was striding up my driveway, her silhouette stark against the streetlights, a clipboard clutched like a weapon. "Daniel," she snapped, her voice slicing through my panic. "This is a violation." My mother was fighting to breathe, and Margaret was here, Tohat. Scold me about parking rules? I'm Daniel Harper, and I never imagined I'd star in a Margaret story, but Pinewood Grove had other plans. 15 months ago, I moved to this Raleigh suburb, lured by its tidy lawns, matching lampposts, and promise of a fresh start after a grueling job transfer. The neighborhood gleamed like a real estate brochure, kids on scooters, neighbors swapping small talk, oaks lining the streets like sentinels. I'd bought a modest 2-story, picturing quiet evenings and maybe a dog someday. What I hadn't counted on was Margaret, the HOA president who ruled with an iron grip and a platinum bob that never moved, no matter the weather. Her hazel eyes missed nothing, scanning for infractions with the precision of a hawk. My first run-in with Margaret came 5 days after I settled in. A lime green notice was taped to my door, citing Section 11.1. Trash receptacles must be stored out of sight by 6 p.m. On pickup day, my bins had lingered curbside an hour too long while I unpacked boxes. Margaret was waiting when I got home, her smile as brittle as glass. "Daniel, we maintain standards here," she said, handing me a dog-eared copy of the HOA bylaws. I apologized, stashed the bins in my garage, and figured that was that. I was wrong. That notice marked me as prey. Over the months, Margaret's citations piled up. My grass was over-length by a 1/4 inch. My porch planter had unapproved petunias instead of regulation geraniums. Once, she fined me for VYing my bike on the driveway overnight while I fixed a flat tire. Each violation brought a VY sit. Margaret's voice syrupy with condescension as she explained the bylaws I'd transgressed. "Daniel, I'm just protecting our community's value," she'd say, her pen scratching notes with theatrical flair. I tried diplomacy, attending HOA meetings to suggest tweaking rules like the one banning wind chimes or requiring all fences to be exactly 5 feet tall. Margaret shut me down every time, her go-to line delivered with a smirk. "As president for 9 terms, I know what Pinewood needs." Neighbors fidgeted, eyes down, too cowed to speak up. It wasn't just me. She'd fined the Patels for hanging a birdhouse, not in keeping with architectural harmony. She'd sent a warning to Mrs. Larson for her grandson's skateboard ramp, claiming it disrupted aesthetic cohesion. But I seemed to draw her focus, maybe because I dared question her, or because my slightly dented SUV didn't match her VY shown of suburban bliss. Things got absurd when I repainted my front door. I'd used Pinewood Regulation Teal No. 2, confirmed by the HOA's color chart. Margaret insisted it was Teal No. 3, unsuitable for an east-facing entry. She called an emergency meeting emergency to debate the shade, projecting color swatches while neighbors squirmed. The vote went her way, as always, fear outweighing reason. That's when I saw it. Margaret didn't enforce rules. She weaponized them, bending Pinewood to her will. The real crisis hit on a muggy Tuesday evening. My mother had driven 3 hours from Charlotte to VY sit, her first trip since starting treatment for lymphoma. She was 67, stubborn as ever, insisting she could handle the drive. We'd spent the day reminiscing, her laughter a balm despite the shadows under her eyes. At dusk, she mentioned feeling heavy, her chest tight. I chalked it up to fatigue until she paled, her breathing shallow and ragged. Panic surged. I called 911, my voice unsteady as I gave her address. "Keep her calm," the dispatcher said. "Paramedics are en route." I helped Mom to the couch, opened the front door for access, and waited every second an eternity. Then Margaret appeared, her heels clicking, her voice ablaze. "Daniel, we have an issue," she said, gesturing at my driveway. My SUV sat beside my hatchback, and Mom's sedan was parked behind a third vehicle, forbidden by Section 7.5's two-car limit. I stared, disbelief choking me. "My gazette, me mom's have no jet pants." I called an ambulance. "This isn't the time." Her lips thinned, no trace of concern. "Rules don't pause for emergencies, Daniel. Move a vehicle, or I'll issue a citation." Mom's faint gasp pulled me back inside. I ignored Margaret, focusing on Mom, whispering she'd be okay while my heart screamed otherwise. The ambulance's siren cut through the night, a beacon of hope. But when it arrived, Margaret's voice rose again, shrill and unyielding. "This is private property, and I'm upholding standards." I stepped outside to find her silver BMW parked across my driveway, blocking all three cars. The ambulance idled at the curb, its lights flashing uselessly. Two paramedics, bags in hand, looked baffled. "Ma'am," one said, "we need to reach the patient." "Move your car." Margaret folded her arms. "Not until a vehicle is removed per HOA rules." I've been reasonable, and I've been ignored. I felt rage bubble up. "Margaret, my mother could be dying." "Move your car." My shout drew eyes from neighboring windows, but she didn't budge. "I'm documenting this, Daniel." The fine's ticking up. The paramedics exchanged glances, one radioing, "Dispatch, we've got an obstruction. Requesting police." The other turned to me. "Sir, we'll go through the yard." "Where's your mom?" I led them around back, Margaret yelling about lawn regulations as we went. Inside, the paramedics assessed. Mom, her pulse was weak, her oxygen dipping. "We need to transport her now," one said, his tone urgent but steady. I held Mom's hand, her fingers cold. "Hang on, Mom," I whispered. Outside, police sirens wailed. By the time I glanced out, two officers were facing Margaret, who was quoting bylaws like a manifesto. Section 7.5, subsection, she started, but an officer interrupted. "Ma'am, you're blocking emergency SARE VYCES. Move your vehicle, or you're arrested." Margaret's face flushed. "Arrested? I'm preserve VY in property values. One V violation leads to anarchy." Mom's breathing hitched, pulling my focus back. The paramedics prepped a stretcher, but the driveway was still blocked. Outside, Margaret's voice hit a fever pitch. "I demand a board hearing. We meet next Monday." The officer's reply was ice cold. "Ma'am, you're under arrest for obstruction." I caught a glimpse of her, wrists cuffed, her expression a mix of shock and fury. "You can't. I'm Margaret Hensley," she shrieked as they led her to the cruiser. Another officer moved her BMW, clearing the way. The paramedics wheeled Mom out, neighbors watching from their lawn, some concerned, others smirking. The Patels, Mrs. Larson, even Mr. Gomez with his forbidden porch flag feed, all tasted Margaret's reign. At the hospital, doctors diagnosed a mild heart attack. Mom needed medication and rest, but would recover. Relief flooded me, though guilt not had Margaret's stunt stolen critical time. I pushed it down, focusing on Mom's faint smile as she teased me about my coffee-making skills. Pinewood didn't stay quiet. Margaret's arrest hit the local news, her handcuffed rant going viral. Hashtags like the HOA current and the Pinewood takedown trended locally. 2 days later, the HOA board called an emergency meeting, the community center buzzing with tension. The VYC president, a quiet teacher named Sanjay, announced Margaret's removal as president and board member. She faced charges of obstruction and interference with emergency SARE VY, carrying possible jail time and fines, plus a CIVYL suit from the county. When Margaret stormed in, expecting to reclaim her crown, Sanjay handed her the expulsion letter. Her hand shook as she read, her voice breaking. "This is wrong. I made Pinewood." Sanjay was gentle but firm. "Margaret, you endangered someone. You're done." She left, her heels no longer commanding, the door slamming behind her. Pinewood exhaled. Sanjay took over, and the board loosened rules starting with the driveway limit. I planted petunias, daring a citation that never came. Mom healed. Her VY sits now filled with her bossing me about my cooking, her laugh stronger each day. But Margaret's shadow lingered. Some nights, I checked the driveway, half expecting her BMW to lurk. She'd crave control, but her cage had caught her instead, Leah VYing Pinewood to rebuild without her. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this VY Deo with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next VY Deo.